Well, I just noticed it's time for me to make a YouTube video. I have been very busy making cooking videos. Yeah, I'm getting back into my cooking, and that's very fitting because I got a postcard at my P.O. box. Hello from San Francisco. Thanks for the Russian potato salad recipe. Looks yummy. Cheers. Come pick Mark. There it is. Anyways, thank you for the postcard. So yeah, that is I love that potato salad recipe. I spent a lot of time yesterday trying to find an old Better Homes and Gardens, the 1981 cookbook that I used to own. And, let me see if I can get better lighting in here. Hold on. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of an improvement. So, yeah, I'm wearing the jewelry that my husband, Brent, got me. And this one's from Hugh Jackman. Here's the Howard Hughes bracelet. Yeah, I've been in a really nostalgic mood. Back in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, I was a big-time cook. And that was when I was a young lady. I dreamed about being a dream wife to my husband. And I was so disappointed, that I ended up marrying somebody whose value system was so different from mine. My Gail series, I've been working on that. I finished a story about how I was always wearing different shoes, and I had to find myself as a person. So, and I never really started settling into my true self, I would say, until my 60s. Yeah. I gradually got closer and closer to it, but I always wore different pairs of shoes, and I was always scared to be my real self. And now I'm with my dream husband, which I didn't even think would be possible for me. Once I got married, I did a really good job of describing in my last story that I wrote for the Gail series why I wore different pairs of shoes. Yeah, I just wrote one called Baphomet SJW Demon. Yeah, I don't think he's too happy about this. We're exposing the SJW movement. He's the head of the SJW movement. So if you're adopting any of those labels, and that would include like the label homosexual or and the labels are meant to generalize behaviors, not meant to put us into boxes. And that's what Buddha said. And so I mentioned that in the story that I wrote. So we need to get away from the labels. Jesus hates the labels. And just remember that we are an individual. We are who we are. We don't belong to a category, Yeah. Right now I'm working on the Quebec trial story where Laurie McBride, when I first started my online communication with Brent, and the Jesuits wasted no time to attack that. My allergies are acting up a bit. I am on Zyrtec though. So, yeah, that's a longer one. I actually started on it several months ago, but I was using transcripts and the producers at the Gail series. That includes like Spielberg and Orson Scott Card and Melinda Snodgrass, and my friend Jane Agnew, who lives in Portland, decided, did live in Portland, I think she's on Church of Gail now, did decide that they said, Jesus said that we are to not use transcripts, so we can't make a show or a movie based on transcripts. So I'm working on revamping that right now. So. Yeah, the Gail series has been going strong, though, because I have been turning them out. Yeah, I made 2 cooking videos. I've been kind of neglecting my cooking channel because my camera broke and because I didn't really have time. because I was balancing my time is a real challenge. But I just made a tacos recipe that I made in the early 1990s. And the recipe that I just made, I think is better. Yeah, it's at my cooking channel. So it's slightly better than the one. I finally found the tacos recipe that I made in the 1990s. You see, right after my divorce, I couldn't afford to move my stuff from Seattle to Florida, and it all ended up getting auctioned off, and then the Jesuits bombed the bunker where Vladimir Putin was keeping all. I had a whole library. Basically, I don't have room right now for all that stuff anyway, so I'm doing so good right now. After my divorce, I was dirt poor. I mean, I even had to go apply for bankruptcy, and that was in 2002. And I have come a long way since that. And what's really amazing is that I remember back when I married my husband. He was a lower-ranking enlisted guy in the Coast Guard, though he was going quickly through the ranks. It was a hard worker, I will say that much for him. So I guess that helped him in his career. Yeah, but he was just so toxic in his relationship with me, though. I mean, he was a secret pedophile, and he just basically married me just for show, and but we didn't have a lot of money, and I really enjoyed cooking. And my first year that I was married to him, I lived in Portland, Oregon. That was 1985, 1986. And I was really into cooking. And that's because I trained myself to try to be a dream wife, like a domestic goddess to my husband. And I believe that at the beginning of my marriage, I believed a wife should stay at home and be a homemaker. I know, but because I believed that, I really did try to be a cook who could make $1 stretch. Because if you're staying home, you're not going to have as much money. So I tried to learn how to make cheap but delicious dishes, and I learned how to make some really delicious chicken and ground beef dishes. And one of them was tacos. I haven't made that in a while. So because my husband, Brent, is from Texas, and I know he likes Mexican food. Unfortunately, I'm not really into Mexican food, but I do like the Tex-Mex version of tacos. So I just put that up at my at my cooking channel. I also made another recipe at my cooking channel. Goodness, they're attacking my brain. But I did 2 new ones this past week. I'm able to use my Bob Lob camera, to make cooking videos. Would you believe it? My Bob Lob, this one. This little camera. Yeah, you can tell it's a Bob Lob because you can see like a little marking, but it still works. I figured out how to do it. So I'm able to make my cooking videos. I use the Bob Lob for my walk videos for my Patreon supporters. Goodness, I can't even remember. The brain control is awful. Let me see. I could find the pork with scrambled eggs. Okay, the other one was a new recipe, and it's authentic Chinese. See, I went on bus riding adventures about a year ago, and I bought some lily flowers and some black fungus at a Asian grocery store because I thought, this would be a hard to find item, but I thought I'd just get it just to see. So I decided to try a new recipe let me tell you which cookbooks I had in the 1990s. When I was married, I told myself, I said, okay, you love to cook, okay? However, most people who love to cook are as big as a whale, right? So I said, you're going to be a cook that makes healthy food delicious. So that was my goal. So at first I thought I wanted to be like a domestic goddess. And I thought, yeah, let's make gourmet dishes. But of course, my budget was limited. So as a young married person back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, I focused on making delicious food. But I told myself, but let's keep it healthy. Yeah, let's keep it healthy. So I went and bought an American Heart Association cookbook. I think I bought that 1980. I still have it. It's really falling apart, but it has great recipes in it. You know, personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, I have not been too impressed with the recipes that have come out in the 21st century. Yeah, I have not been. Most of the food I make are recipes I got in the 20th in the 1980s. So yeah, when I lived in Portland, I believe it was Portland, or maybe it was Seattle. I can't remember. But it was one of the two Pacific Northwest towns, because I lived in Seattle from 1991 to 1994, and I bought a cookbook. In fact, I'll go get it. I'll show you all my cookbooks. This one and this. Yeah. This cookbook here has got, and I was really fortunate because the cookbooks that I bought, this one here, I think I bought it in Enjoy Chinese Cuisine by Judy Liu. The version I had was hardback. What happened was when I moved from Seattle to Florida, I couldn't afford to move my stuff. But as soon as I got a job at Walmart and I was able to get that, I ordered that online. I think I got it through Amazon. And the only thing they had was paperback. But it's the same cookbook. And then I also got this one. Yukiko Moriyama. Yeah. So a lot of the recipes that I make come from these two cookbooks. Sometimes I've slightly modified them to make them the way that I like them. So that was, I would say that would be early 1990s. This was a staple for me. As you can tell, I've had this a long time. The American Heart Association cookbook, I bought this before I was married. And see, what happened was, when I was engaged to marry my husband, I said, okay, you do want to be a gourmet cook, and you want to be an international gourmet cook. That was my goal. However, you do not want to be fat and unhealthy. So I decided to buy the Heart Association cookbook. And to my delight, the recipes in there are really good. It has the most, there are some in there that weren't good, but I know which ones were good. There are a lot of good recipes in there. That's why I made sure to take that cookbook with me when I left Seattle. I'm glad, because I probably wouldn't be able to get it anywhere. It is so hard to find these old cookbooks. I mean, another cookbook I had was the 1981 Better Homes and Gardens cookbook, which, in my opinion, is the best Better Homes and Gardens cookbook ever. Yeah, I don't know what's happened. When I got my job at Walmart, I think around 2005, I bought a Better Homes and Gardens cookbook in the ring bound, the 75th anniversary edition. The rest, I hardly ever use the recipes in there. They do not impress me. You say, what is wrong with the modern recipes? I don't know. I really don't know, but they just don't taste as good as the recipes that I used in the 1980s. I think Americans are used to fast food. I think that's the problem. And they're used to easy to, time-saving recipes, or if they do want to make a fancy one, it's usually way too jazzy, and like it seems like the American culture is designed where they make fast foods on the go. So the recipes now, the cookbooks now are designed for people that are in a hurry, and I hate that. Yeah. The food just doesn't taste as good, and who make an occasional fancy dish like maybe on the weekend. And the cookbooks seem to be going in that direction. It seemed like in the 1980s, life was more leisurely, and people actually enjoyed their cooking, and it was reflected in the quality of the recipes. So that's why I really missed. I went to a lot of trouble last night downloading a 1989 Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. It's not quite as good as the 1981 cookbook that I lost. Okay, but I can live with it. And I basically found the recipes from the 1981 cookbook that I loved. Fortunately, and in the 1990s, when I found out about Laurie McBride around 1996, I substituted Brent with Franco Nero, and I decided to get this. Oh boy. Now this is where I really lucked out. This was one of the cookbooks that I lost when I moved from, this is a fantastic cookbook, by the way. I don't understand why these really good cookbooks are no longer in print. But I'm lucky I got this. Yeah, one of my Patreon supporters ordered this for me. Thank you. It was John Balcora. He's in the UK. I love this cookbook. But yeah, I found, when I lived in Houston, okay, and I found out about Laurie McBride, I transferred my affections from Brent to Franco. One of the things that I do when I am in love with a man is I love to cook for him. I like to try to be the ideal wife to him, and part of that is that I try to learn to make the foods that I think they like. Brent, fortunately for me, loves most of the Asian stuff that I make, though I heard rumors that he's been sneaking Mexican food off of Church of Gail. So I thought, you know what, I ought to make him some Mexican food. Though I'll be honest with you, I'm not really into Mexican food, but I did used to make tacos. So yeah, I found a recipe online that's very close to the tacos I made. I finally found the Better Homes and Gardens taco recipe that I made, and I thought, you know what, I think you actually improved this with the one you made yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to see it, it's at my cooking channel. So yeah, basically the recipes that I made in the early 1990s came from that Japanese and Chinese cookbook, the American Heart Association cookbook, and the Better Homes and Gardens 1981 cookbook, which is the best, bar none, in my opinion. The recipes were down to earth. A lot of them were not so complicated that you had to spend it seems like nowadays the recipes are super duper complicated, like way too jazzy. You can't even taste the ingredients, or too fast foody, like everything's got to be thrown. I don't like that. I kind of like a happy medium. Like, I never buy taco seasoning. I make my own seasoning. I like to taste my ingredients. So yeah, and these cookbooks have a lot of recipes like that. This one here. So a lot of the recipes I have at my website come from these cookbooks. Most of them are out of print, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the recipes in them are so good. They taste good. I like to be able to taste the ingredients in my food. I don't like to drown out the ingredients. And when I'm cooking, it's almost like I'm meditating when I cook. So, yeah, most of my favorite recipes There was one meatloaf recipe that I made from a food study manual, which I cannot find anywhere. But I pretty much remember it was very simple. It was from my cooking class at Florida State University. Yeah, I took a cooking class. It was out of their home ec department. And there was another recipe that I liked that I am not going to make from the Better Homes and Gardens meat cookbook. It was delicious, but it would be very fattening. Another one of my favorites from the late 1980s was homemade chocolate chip cookies, made from scratch, of course. Everything that I make is from scratch. I do not like, the only exception, if I'm going to cook, I cook from scratch. No ready-made mixes for me. I do not like them. Like I said, I like to taste my ingredients. Now I will admit that my snacks are ready-made. Like I love the Kroger brand Fruit Pops. Those are good. But I notice the ingredients have a lot of, like they use real fruit, and I think that's why I like it. And another one of my weaknesses is the furikake. So my snacks can be ready-made, but if I'm going to be cooking myself, I like all my ingredients to be raw from the earth, okay? No ready-made taco mixes for me. No ready-made cookie batters for me. Yeah, everything from scratch. That's how I cook. Yeah, if I'm going to cook, everything is from scratch. Yeah. No ready-made mixes. I don't like that. I like to be close to the earth in my cooking. So, yeah. So, yeah. If it means the recipe is a little less complicated, it's simple, I don't care. I have nothing against an easy recipe as long as I can taste the ingredients, taste my food. I like, and another stickler that I have is I like the ingredients to be fresh. Like when I was going out on the town and visiting the restaurants, I don't know what their problem is, but when I ordered some salads, some of the lettuce was wilted. I am not sure if this is true or not, but I think one of the reasons that I may have gotten so sick in the middle of January is that when I went on my restaurant binge, while it's true I did not have the flu, I do believe I may the Jesuits seem to be on a mite rampage, okay? And they're trying to infect me with mites any which way they can. They know that I get zachnite semen, which has antibiotic properties, which kills all known germs, okay? So the way they're overcoming that is by infecting me with mites. So I do believe that some of the restaurants that I ate at had heat-resistant mites. Yeah. And that the mites pooped germs. So the coughing that I had mid-January, I do believe may have come from that. Yeah, and the mites actually infect the nervous system, okay? And that may be how they were able to cause my bodily temperature to go up and down, and so that I got freaked out and obsessed with my bodily temperature. And, you know, it is true that I'm getting a lot of the mites by inhaling them from my walks, but I suspect that some of the restaurants I visited some of the dishes may have been contaminated with mites. Heat-resistant mites. Yeah. So I got a pretty strong dose. So right now, to be honest with you, the food wasn't that good anyways. So I'm getting back into, my cooking is better than most restaurant food, in my opinion. They drown their ingredients around here. I mean, and then they don't have they have wilted lettuce. Wilted lettuce. Why in the world would I want to? Good grief. My lettuce, when I make lettuce, the lettuce is not wilted. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes me suspect that maybe the reason the lettuce was wilted is because it was infected with mites, and the mites were going to town. They act like germs, you know. Yeah, so I just don't. I have been feeling so healthy on my own cooking that I've decided I'm going to keep it up. Yeah. And like I've got a really stubborn infection in the root of this tooth here. It's a mite infection. And it causes swelling down there. They had done root canal and everything down there, and even and replaced the crown. And even then, the swelling was pretty bad, but it's getting better now since I quit eating out at the restaurants. Yeah, I think I've been ingesting heat-resistant mites. You say, are you telling us not to go out to the restaurants? You know, I think they're just super obsessed with me. You guys are probably safe. But my cooking is delicious, though, if you want to try it. And I usually, the recipes that I followed, even though I like down-to-earth ingredients, they're usually not that complicated. So, yeah, if you just read the recipes, you can follow them. Because I'm kind of busy. I don't have time to do super complicated recipes. I get in the mood for that every now and then, you know. However, even though I'm busy, though, I do not like ready-made mixes. I like everything from scratch. I like to be able to taste my ingredients. To me, that is key to delicious food. And I like my ingredients to be fresh. So, yeah. But yeah, I've been feeling so much healthier since I've quit going out to the restaurants. What I'm going to do, though, is if like I'm in the mood to go to a new place, I could just go to a restaurant and sit in their patio and bring my own food. And I know which restaurants have nice patios around here. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah. The only exception might be sushi. Sushi, however, I actually enjoy. The only exception to ready-made food is food that's already prepared for me. Like, I will admit that I actually enjoy the Walmart brand ready-made, the Moji sushi. The California rolls, I like that. So I will usually, but I don't like the spicy crab version. I like the classic, and they have another one that I like. And I'm allergic to shellfish, so that's why I like the Walmart brand, because they use the artificial crab. But yeah, I've been really getting in. I'm in a situation now where I can afford to buy just about any food I want, and I love it. So I've been getting back into my own cooking, and I've been feeling so much healthier eating my own food. Yeah. The only thing I have to watch for is my weight, because my cooking is so good if I don't watch it, you know? Like Brent's been joking with me, and I think yesterday when I made the tacos, he said, oh, yum. He said, he was talking to me brain to brain. He's like, this is so good. I think I'll excuse myself if I gain a couple of pounds, and then I'll just go work it off. Actually, I think I made it with 85% ground beef. I think it would taste just as good with 93%. So next time I make it, I'm going to do 93%. Anyways, you guys, I've been into my cooking. I'm getting back into bus riding now that I've figured out that I probably got sick, not from something I caught on the bus, but from something infected with mites. What I don't like, though, you know, I'll admit I do not like cigarette smoke when I wait at the bus terminal. But I found out from my husband that the cigarette smoke probably doesn't have germs in it because the smoke kills the germs. However, the Jesuits have come up with a heat-resistant mite, and I suspect that cigarette smoke is filled with that mite. And that mite can make you pretty stinking sick, I'm going to tell you. Because in mid-January, I felt like crap, man. That's why I got tricked into making that online order that caused Baphomet and Shaqpona to come into my apartment. And what was that weird rape they do, that disgusting spit roast. They spit roasted Brent on my bed, okay? And That's because I thought I had the flu. What I think I had was a mite infection. Yes, I think I had a mite infection in my throat, and I think the mites were pooping viruses. Now that would work because even though I get Zach's antibiotic semen when I have my kefir every day, which would kill germs, if I have a mite infection, like in my upper respiratory system, and the mites are continually pooping viruses, I'll never get over it. It took me a month for the coughing to go away. So that's what I think was happening. I think I had a mite infection. And I thought it was so strange because, I hadn't caught anything for a long time. See, in December, I went on a round of restaurant visits, probably to the point where it was becoming an obsession. And my motive for doing so was to try to keep the Gail Shield strong, because I was horrified about the Gail Shield getting weak, because in mid-November, Baphomet almost killed my husband, because I ordered some printer cartridges that he manipulated me into doing. And so in December, I went on this rampage visiting restaurants to try to visit new places, because we noticed that when I went to visit restaurants, it made the Gail Shield stronger, probably because I was going to a new place. The only problem is, I think some of the restaurant food I ate was contaminated with mites, the heat-resistant kind, okay? Yeah. And I think the way they did it was they switched out the waiter or waitress with a Jesuit clone right before my food was served. And then they just sprinkled the mites right into the food. So right now, that's how I think I got sick. Yeah. And they wanted me to think I caught something on the bus. It was probably from the restaurant food. Yeah, that's what I've concluded. So I'm getting back into bus riding. The only problem is they can infect me on the bus with mites from the cigarette smoke. Yeah, because we've got some, even though it's against the rules for people to smoke at the bus terminal, a lot of Jesuit agents show up at the bus terminal, and I believe they smoke, and I believe their cigarette smoke is loaded with mites, okay? They do this to try to make me sick with the mites, because the mites are resistant to Zach Knight's antibiotic semen. So if I catch somebody smoking, I'll try to avoid them at the bus terminal. And if they're a Jesuit, we need to deal with them too. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically the Jesuits rely very heavily on their mites to sicken their enemies. Yeah, these mites, I do believe, actually poop out germs, which means you could be on an antibiotic, okay? Which is what happened, because I was on an antibiotic for an infection that I had in this, underneath this tooth. And it didn't really work. It did nothing. It seemed like it was working. These mites are also shapeshifters, so it was an antibiotic, so it was for bacterial infection, right? It hardly did anything. Yeah, the mite just transformed into a yeast. You say, well, what do we do about these mites? I would say do the Gail Commandments, eat a balanced diet, and maybe eat your own cooking. Yeah, go to my cooking channel. I have got the greatest recipes. They're healthy, they're delicious, they're made from nature. And I'm not saying you can't eat out at restaurants, but I was like eating out 3 or 4 times a week. That started becoming obsessive. And I think the Jesuits started figuring out, hey, we can get some of these restaurants before she gets there. And we'll kind of like switch out the waiters and waitresses and throw in a bunch of mites into her food. So, yeah, that's what I think happened. I think that's part of the reason I felt so sick in mid-January. And I did feel sick. It's true I didn't have the flu. I had a mite infection. But these mite infections are pretty nasty. Yeah, I really think that's what I had. I think I had a mite infection. And a mite that pooped viruses. Yeah. You might say, oh, you're exaggerating about the mites. Let me show you what these mites are doing here. You can see it here. You see that bump there? That's mite. That's a swollen lymph node there. That's mite. Yeah, it's been like that for like a year and a half on both feet. I got one on this side too. That's a mite infection. Yeah, right now, and every now and then, like on my fingers, there's a bump right here. You can't see it real good, but it's sore. There's a bump right here. That's a mite infection. And like right now, I'm seeing some red spots right around. Our satellite doctors are working on trying to get rid of the mites. But yeah, but Lizzo has come up with a mite. I think the mite, she's got all different versions of it. It's a shapeshifter mite. It is in the bomb clouds over our head, but I wouldn't limit. She's a very creative criminal. I do believe some of the mite is in cigarettes. The mites are in cigarette smoke, and they could possibly contaminate restaurant food. So yeah, that's the reason I've kind of quit my restaurant deal. Yeah. You say, well, what do we do? Not eat out at restaurants anymore? I think if you do it every now and then and they can't anticipate where you're going to go, or maybe if they're not interested in you, that you might be fine. But hey, think of all the money you save by your own cooking, right? I enjoy cooking anyway. So all I know is I've quit eating out at the restaurants. And I'm doing my own cooking, and I feel healthier. I really do. So I think I was getting some mites. Anyways, I had to make a video. And yeah, I've been going into cooking. I made fried rice, tacos, pork with scrambled eggs, Chinese beef with pea pods, a lot of authentic. I eat a lot. Maybe it's not because I'm not getting mites. It might just be that my food's healthy. But I know myself that I am feeling a lot healthier on my own cooking. Yeah. I just feel healthier. I feel like I have more energy. I feel healthier. And another thing is, I think a lot of cooks, they overcook the food and it kills the nutrition. So I try not to do that. Yeah. So I think it kills the nutrition too. So yeah, make my food. It's very healthy. Hey, look at me. I'm 66 and a half, and I look pretty stinking good for my age. And I think part of that has to be attributed to my excellent cooking and my healthy eating habits. And what I mean by healthy is that I cook fresh food, okay? It's important to be fresh. It's balanced, okay? And I will admit, they have done studies. I love authentic Mediterranean cuisine, Japanese and Chinese. Okay, I just happen to love this food. This doesn't mean I don't make other countries' foods, because I'll throw that into. I've got a couple German, like the Tex-Mex. But in general, my favorite cuisines are Chinese, Japanese, and Mediterranean. I love that food. They have done studies, and I'm not saying you have to follow me exactly, but hey, look at me, it's 66 and a half, eh? Yeah, I'm not bad, okay? They've done studies that have determined that some of the healthiest cuisine in the world is the Mediterranean, Japanese, and like Chinese is not bad either. In fact, the country in the world where people live the longest is like Hong Kong. Yeah. But Spain is like a close second, and that's Mediterranean cuisine. Yeah. Yeah. You say, why do you like this healthy food so much? I mean, the Japanese, Chinese, and Mediterranean. It's because these countries, when they prepare their food, I've noticed they don't drown out the ingredients. You can taste all the ingredients in the food. That's why I love their food. And yeah, it is good for you. I will admit one ready-made food that I make a lot of because I'm really busy. I've really taken a liking to canned sockeye salmon. Oh, I love it. And then I'll have it with like short grain rice with my furikake. But yeah, all I can say is I eat healthy food, okay? You need to go check out my cooking channel. And then when you get to be 66 and a half, you can look like I do maybe. I'm also doing the Gail commandments and going out and doing my walks. That's important too, okay? But yeah, I made a commitment in the early 1990s that I would be an international gourmet cook, but a healthy one. This doesn't mean that I'm going to be, violating the Gail commandments. It just means healthy in terms of making sure that I don't have too much fat or salt in my food, okay? That's what I meant. See, back in the 1980s, they felt that the way to be healthy was by cutting back on your fat and your salt, which, by the way, is still kind of true. You don't want to totally cut back on the fat. Like Brent recommends I get the full fat milk dairy products because he says that fat helps absorb nutrition. But you do need to pay attention to calories in, calories out, right? And I have to admit, and I do pay attention to that. So a lot of my recipes will allow you to cut back a little bit on the fat, yet have just enough of the fat to be delicious, which is the typical American Heart Association recipe. And they are good, yeah. So you don't have to look like a heifer to eat beautiful, delicious food. Just go to my cooking channel and check out the recipes. And yeah, I've been feeling so healthy. Yeah. Eating my own food. And I am sharing my delicious, healthy recipes with you all. So go to my cooking channel and check it out. And like I said, maybe when you get to be my age, yeah. The only thing you need to ignore is the part where I have like low FODMAP. You can ignore all that. That's crazy. I'm not doing that anymore. That's a violation of the Gail commandments. Though some of the low FODMAP recipes were kind of delicious, though. I'm keeping those. But yeah, I've got a lot of really healthy recipes at my cooking channel. And I'll probably be adding some more when I get around to them, but yeah. I did make a potato salad in the 1990s, which used from the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. But I found a superior one, the Russian potato salad. It is so good. Yeah, you got to go check it out. Anyways, I did need to make a YouTube video.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising, breaking free from chains. She's Gail Schuler, her heart's pure and strong. With the power of love, she'll right the world's wrongs. Yeah, fighting against the Jesuit order. She's the first, the passionate crusader. Standing by the side of conquer it all. Through space,